Guardian. Excellent. You're in the lead.
Yo, what is going on, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 gameplay video. Hey, in this video I wanted to chat specifically about auto rifles and address the question, are they actually okay now? Or are they alright now? Are they even good now? Could they hold their own in the current sandbox, in this new sandbox that we find ourselves in here with the launch of Shadowkeep? To sort of set the stage, I want to talk about the meta that we've been in for a while now. I'll even show you a screenshot here. One of the great things about Destiny is that the API is public. It's completely accessible by multiple third-party applications and websites, etc. So I like to use some of them to gauge sort of the current climate in the Crucible specifically. Things like class statistics, weapon usage statistics, all kinds of things like that. And this graphic comes from Guardian.gg, and it shows you the weapon meta that we were in, in just like the week before Shadowkeep dropped, where we were at, right? Now, the line way on top here, you might think, oh, holy cow, what's that giant outlier there? What's that thing that's like dramatically above everything else in the whole game? That right there, that's hand cannons. Hand cannons were at up to, at one point, 30%. 30% usage rate, right? That is insane. Absolutely insane that a single archetype of weapon could count for almost a third of all weapon usage in the Crucible. That is bonkers. And the next best primary was a pulse rifle. I know pulse rifles receive all kinds of hate. I don't mind them. I actually really like pulse rifles, especially with the strong love that Destiny 1 had for pulse rifles. Remember things like Hawksaw. Remember things like Clever Dragon. Hawksaw was always a pretty beloved weapon in Destiny 1, as well as things like Red Death and the Messenger. I mean, pulses had a pretty strong presence then. Also, I grew up playing like Halo competitively, and the battle rifle was like the pinnacle of precision and skill for a player, right? Mastering the battle rifle, the BR. So I personally love pulses. Anyways, they were sitting at, an average of around 12%. So compare that to hand cannons, which were upper 20s and at one point 30%. That's less than half. Right, less than half is the next best primary. You want to know what the third best quote-unquote primary weapon was? SMGs at 6% usage, right? So that's your that's your distribution here, okay? Hand cannons, 30% weapon usage. Pulse rifles, the next best primary, 12%, way below, less than half. And then SMGs, half of that even still. That's your distribution. So the weapon meta we're coming out of was defined by hand cannon usage, just completely dominated by hand cannon. They had no competition for a year now. They've been overwhelmingly dominant, and not by just a little bit. We're talking double the kills the next best primary and 5 times more than the next best after that. Now that their range has been sort of reeled in a bit, we're looking at this new sweet spot of range where something else has to fill the gap. Something else has to step up in that gap where hand cannons are no longer doing their optimal damage and are requiring one or more hits than they previously were, a couple weeks ago. So pulse rifles are a popular choice right now, but honestly, ARs can actually have a range where they're forced to be reckoned with now. They can step into that gap, and they can actually out damage a hand cannon at mid range now. They're now much more versatile weapons. You're able to be useful at most ranges other than a scout rifle range, sniper rifle range, right? Other than that, or even aggressive frame pulse, if you're closer than that, ARs can compete. Not only that, but their perk pool, it makes them really interesting and diverse weapons. I mean, you could go for consistency on your auto rifle. You could look for things like Zen Moment, dynamic sway, low recoil options in general, just to have a really consistent gun that has low recoil. It's very predictable. So you know generally when you start a gunfight, you know whether you're going to finish it on top or not. That's how comfortable you can get with understanding how consistent your weapon is. Or you can go for a completely different role. You can go for things that shred enemies in chains, right? You can go for things like Kill Clip, High Impact Reserves, Rampage, those types of perks that buff damage when you get a kill or get to the bottom half of your magazine. So you could shoot for something like that as well. And there's just all kinds of different archetypes of ARs, you know? Some of them are more like SMGs, right? They're bullet hoses, you know? You got the hippo fart gun in the Misfit, right? Things like that, those high rate of fire ones, the 720s, etc. Or you can go for something that's going to be a slow rate of fire, more range, hit harder, and I like those as well. And not many people are using ARs right now, which is surprising to me, but a lot of people are using scouts, I think because they're going after the Randy weapon. And you can really leverage the strengths of an AR in a lobby filled with scout rifles, because you get in close enough, especially if you have high caliber rounds, you can throw off scout and pulse rifle users pretty consistently with a good high caliber round auto rifle. Makes them go for just one extra burst or one more shot with a scout, and that could be all the time you need to put them down. So here are some great auto rifles for you to keep an eye out for right now. One that probably most of you already have is the Suros Regime. The Suros is a phenomenal auto rifle, especially with the healing perk on it. You get the masterwork and you get more consistent healing off of it. Man, it's so good for going on long kill streaks. It's such a consistent auto rifle too. I go with spinning up. I know some people prefer the focus fire. I love spinning up, and I just, you can shred people. You get the thing spun up. I do a lot of pre-firing like I would with a Sweet Business, and Suros can put a lot of people down really quickly. So consider using the Suros. It's a fantastic auto rifle right now. Otherwise, the Pluperfect, which is in the season pass, I got a really good roll on mine, and it is a really consistent, hard-hitting auto rifle and has great range on it. I highly recommend you give it a shot if you get a good roll on one of those. The Monte Carlo is out there right now. If you manage to get one of those to drop, I had one drop at the end of a Crucible match, and I've had a lot of fun running the Monte Carlo again. I always liked it in D1, and it sort of has like a form of Rampage built into it, where if you get a kill, it's going to buff your damage with it for a while, or if you get a kill with your melee, it's also going to buff your damage on the gun for a while as well. So you can really start to get the weapon spun up and chain some kills, and also be refilling your melee ability regeneration rate, right? And I've had a lot of fun running Monte Carlo with the Burning Maul subclass and just chucking tons of hammers. It's been a lot of blast. That's not a thing that people say, but I just said it, and I don't know why. But it's been a lot of fun, so give that a shot as well. Or throwing knives. Dare I say Bottom Tree Striker would probably be a really good thing to pair with Monte Carlo. I say that, but please don't run Bottom Tree Striker. Come on, it's a new season. I'm just kidding. And finally, I would recommend the Reckless Oracle, which is the new raid auto rifle. If you manage to get one of those to drop, and with a good roll, that thing's got a huge magazine. It's a bullet hose. It's a ton of fun to use. It's a great AR. So keep an eye out for some of those. At the end of the day, I would say this. I think the ARs are much better than they were a couple weeks ago. Not because they got a massive buff, but because the thing that kept them from being relevant got nerfed. And perhaps that's a video for another time. I'd love to talk about hand cannon changes and how I feel about them, and maybe unpack my thoughts on that in a later video. But for now, suffice it to say that when hand cannons got nerfed, other things that were off the table became a real option again. And so we're seeing a little bit more weapon diversity now, and auto rifles can step into that gap, and they can have a place where they really excel at. So I would encourage you to pick up, if you have a great roll on an auto rifle, it's just been sitting in your vault for a while, dust that baby off, give it a shot, take it for a spin, and see how you feel about it. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed the commentary and the gameplay. Let me know what you think about auto rifles and where they fit into the mix right now, in your opinion. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Feel free to check us out at Facebook Gaming, which is fb.gg/thetruevanguard. You can become a part of our growing community there, share clips, LFG, whatever you want to do, interact with me and other people in our community, and watch the live streams all in one location. Thanks for watching. I hope to catch you in the Crucible. Bye-bye.